Hello everyone, hope you're doing well. It's Tech Talk time once again, and what we're going to be doing is going through a bunch of stuff in terms of, the podcasty part, and then also at the same time doing a bunch of other things, basically spelling out the SU-22M3 for the marker distinction for Pilot 2s. The Vulture event has started, which is pretty cool. The Battle Pass is in full swing as well, with a bunch of different challenges going on. And also, I've been putting myself into a lot of Stalker 2. And I feel like I fixed all of the graphical issues and audio issues I was having in War Thunder. So, a hugely positive week. Because after that last update, Jesus, there was definitely problems in terms of how all this stuff was set up. So, luckily now, we are back on track. As always with the Tech Talks, if you want to put in a question or if you want to put in a comment, we do live stream it. So if you guys want to ask a question there, you can ask a question there. If not, you can stick it in the comment section of this video, and we'll get to it over the next week. This podcast format has been pretty good. We've been doing it for more than a year, which is kind of surprising. I think we're on like the 60th or something. But yeah, so we'll see how it goes as we go forward. It's working at least well for me, and hopefully you guys have been enjoying it too. From Ghost Tech, are they ever gonna give Xbox the Wing Vapor? I don't see why they wouldn't, is probably a better way of putting it. Like, there's no reason why they, like, it's not like they have a vendetta against Xbox players or something. It's probably something to do with the fact that it's just not working properly on the system, so they want to make it work properly on the system and then go from there, right? Like, that's pretty much it. Like, I don't think, like, Gaijin is not a company that tries to treat different parts of the player base differently based on, what they play. If anything, they've been one of the companies out there that has tried the best to do the opposite. Good old AJ. Always fun and enjoyable. The little bulldoggy. There you go. He'll relax now. Oh, never. Good old AJ of the Fourth Realm. But yeah, so the general fact is if they want to, like, add it in, which I'm sure they will, then there has to be something stopping them, which is either a problem with, like, the Xbox console, or whether they're just trying to focus on fixing other stuff. Like, we've seen a ton of changelogs this week, basically adding in a metric ton of fixes to a lot of stuff in the game. So I feel like they're probably going to do that. Like, why wouldn't they at the end? When do you think the trailer for the December update is likely to drop? I mean, this update was so late, it could literally happen next week or the week after. It'd be kind of crazy. But who knows? Who knows indeed. Right, we already had the leak list for it, so it's kind of crazy that that's the case. By the way, one of the things I'm kind of sick of in the game right now is what you're seeing before you. So the SU-22 in Realistic, it has a lot of missiles. So it has the R60Ms, which are quite nice. But its main focus is obviously strike aircrafting. The problem with this is it can't really do that. It can't really do that if fighters take the bases, which is what they do all the time. And another thing that I have to make sure that people understand, because I've seen it happen so many times now, guys, you need to stop going too fast where the bases are. Like, I must have seen so many premium players who are just going way too quick to be able to hit the bases, and they just miss them. So it's getting to a point of, like, silliness, if I'm honest with you. Like, this Kafir did it, and then I've seen a bunch of others do it, like, over time, which is kind of crazy. I'm quite new. Would you mind showing me how to effectively use the RAF F-14? I'm not gonna play that today because I already have it spaded, and I wanna play the SU-22. Hey Lorco, nice to see you. Nice to see you too, Bourbon. Hopefully you're doing well. Right, so the first comment is from Shikamaru, and it's the timestamps. So thank you to Shikamaru for doing the timestamps. It's very kind of you. Thank you very much for that. You know, it's something that is really nice for somebody to do. So thank you. And yeah, if you want anything, obviously just you can come and chat to me on the stream, and I can go through it. Because in general, you know, it's something that I think is useful for people to have. I just don't have the time to do it myself. But maybe one day I will. Who knows? Hey, Disco Jacob, nice to see you. Yeah, Stalker got a massive update, so it's like 15 gigs, and it seems like they just made the economy easier and also the monsters easier. So I'm guessing people will really enjoy that. We'll see. Who knows? We'll have to look at what goes on with it. Hey Zero, nice to see you. But thank you, Shikamaru. It's very kind of you. Don't know what to think of the leak list, honestly. Eurofighter F5, but no mention of the F-18. Feel like the F-18 should have been added by now. You'd think that, but you'd be wrong. So it's one of those things where they just added the F-15E, and then also the F-15 before. They also added the F-16, the F-14. They have added pretty much everything else for American top tier. So the idea that they also need an FA-18 at the same time as everybody else is ludicrous. Is probably the way to put it. American players for the longest time have got pretty much everything they've wanted in there. And if you've been playing ITER, you will have realized for many years now, it is basically America versus the world. So because of the fact that other nations get something that might be comparable to what something of America has, doesn't automatically mean that America should also get something that's even better than them. Which would be incredibly sad. So, as usual with these things, like, when America was getting its F-14s, what was Britain getting? What was France getting? What was Germany getting? Right? When America was getting its F-16s, what were they getting? So, just for once, it might be worth, instead of doing comparisons, just enjoying what is there. Hey Chief the Mike, nice to see you. I'm doing well, thank you. Got in a workout this morning, so I feel pretty good. Overall, quite nice. Not too bad indeed. So then we have Harry Schumann. So clearly the guy on the forum was right. We waited for 3 weeks for nothing, and the update was still broken. No, that's not the case. The guy on the forum definitely wasn't right. No matter what happens when it comes to an update, there are going to be issues with it, just because of the scale of them and the time scale that's around. But the idea that the initial dev server, was the same as the update that came out is once again just insane. The fact that somebody wanted them to release a broken product... They wanted them to release a broken product because they wanted to play a shiny new vehicle, even if it was completely busted in how it was set up, is just insane. Because that person, what they would do straight after that, would then complain about that vehicle, or complain about that map, and talk about how they should have put more effort into it, and fixed it before it came out. And that's not something me making it up. That's literally how this works. It's part of what we class as the Dozer mentality. Because there was a guy called Dozer who exhibited the same symptoms as this individual. Just the same idea, unfortunately. It's very sad. Kind of annoys me that I slowed down there, but it didn't work. Oh well. Maybe when I get all the upgrades on this thing, I'll be allowed to fly. But yeah, so the idea that was a good idea is just not a good idea. Like, even though the game came out now, and it was in a situation where it was busted, and there were issues with it, imagine what it was like 2 or 3 weeks ago, when it was even worse, right? Like, that's the problem. Hey Bob, nice to see you. Nice to see you too, Oreo. Hopefully you're doing okay today. Hey VT, is the 9040 build good? It is good, yes. It falls to RNG, which is kind of annoying, but apart from that, it's okay. Like, it's not too bad. You think the SU-22 M3 should be 10.7 in Air RB? No. No, if they're gonna put it down in BR like that, they have to remove some of its missiles. You think they could introduce the Micro IR this update? Sure, why not? Well, I'm very much of a opinion, especially with top tier, where I want them to add everything, so I stop hearing about them. So I stop hearing from people about what they want added. This is something that happened with Ground like a few years ago, where we stopped actually discussing what was in the game, and instead all of the discussions just became what isn't in the game, and it just kind of made the discussions kind of dull, because it was just a bunch of cogitations about hypothesis, and that's boring to me, because usually the hypotheses are just wrong. So I prefer to talk about what's here instead of what isn't, because I know that people like, you know, discussing what is around or what isn't around because it's easy to do, but I just find it kind of dull, and that's been the case for quite a while now. There you go. Speculation is fun though. Speculation is fun from the individual point of view. When you are the conduit, when everybody comes to you for that speculation, it becomes not fun, because you end up hearing the same thing like 100 times a day. So it's more about the fact that when you are, like, as I said, when you are the wall that everybody bounces ideas off of, it gets dull very quickly. But for the individual, it's good. So what you have to do is put on a brave face and be like, yeah, that's awesome. Oh, that would be interesting. Oh, well, that's pretty cool, actually. Can you imagine? How is it different to, like, other missiles that's around? Is it something that would change the meta? Is it something that would make France really strong? They are already really strong, aren't they? I'm pretty sure they are. So you have to, like, do that instead of just being like, it's just another missile, man. Like, you know. How's the grind going for you? It's going fine. I think in general we're doing pretty well. But yeah, just because something is released broken doesn't mean that it was also not more broken in the past. Does that make sense? So there's, like, levels to this. Once again, binary thinking is a really, really bad idea. Something is not either broken or fixed. There is scales to these things. So if an update comes out and it legitimately does not work for people, like, and I mean nothing works in it, and you are constantly running into bugs, you are constantly running into issues, then that is going to annihilate people's experiences, and it doesn't matter what you do, like, they will just leave. Yeah? Does that make sense? Alright, so then we have Toshio. I flew the Grief in test flight long enough to have a blast with the guided bombs. That alone changed my mind on the battle pass, and now I'm the proud owner of the German 75mm transport truck. I still lament that it's a lesser value than other battle passes in the past. Question, have you used the Fritz X bombs, and have your thoughts changed on the current battle pass? No, because the Grief in... That's from Toshio, by the way. The Grief in the battle pass does have the Fritz X's, but so does the standard Grief. So if that was like a game changer or a selling point for me, I would just like, what's the word? Um, I would just play the one in the standard tech tree. Like the selling point for that vehicle is the missiles, right? The missiles and the premium bonus. The premium bonus doesn't really mean a lot to me because the Ju-288 exists, which they buffed in the recent update, and also at the same time, I'm through that area of the game. So for me personally, it doesn't really matter, right? Um, I get why other people would like it though, because it's a pretty chill vehicle that you can play, and you know you can grind SL and RP similar to stuff like the Ju-288, and then also the lower tier one that I can't remember, the big boat plane for the Germans. But in in all honesty, it is not something that is that interesting. The fact is with this battle pass, the value overall has been lowered. It increased a few times in its history. So, for example, one of the ways that it increased was they added the coupon system, and they also added in being able to trade the coupons for the next battle pass. So that was really cool. But in terms of vehicles and in terms of other parts of it, they have very much decreased it. But that was something that was kind of understood, I hope. Like, we've talked about how these battle pass things work. We've just talked about how general content works in general with these systems, where the first ones that you have, right? So the first battle pass, or the first like new one of some kind of system, they're going to overload it with value. And the reason for this is because they want, obviously, as many people to get it as possible and see it as a really good deal. Yeah, the BV238, that's the one. So now you're going to get back to the normal line, which is where they would want it to be at this time, especially since they've changed up some other systems in the game to give you other stuff. So the question is, where is that line, right? Where is the line for something like that, right? Like, where is it? Where are they happy with the amount that they've added to this battle pass, and where are they going to be like, okay, we're good now? Like, is it 2 vehicles? Is it 1 vehicle per battle pass? Is it removing the loading screen? Is it like, you know, changing up some of the boosters so they're slightly worse? Like, what is the thing that they're going to move around to get it to the level where they want? And it's just kind of a guessing game of that, right? Like, what do they personally think is their... What do they think is, like, their line, right? Like, where do they sit in that, on that kind of thing? And that's the interesting thing to me, because I would love... This is a system where I'd love like a Gaijin dev to come out, or community manager parroting Gaijin dev stuff, and ask them like, okay, so you've created this system, it's a good system, people like it, but it's lost value over time. What or how do you envision the future of this system, right? What is it that you want to do to the system so people enjoy it more, right? And that to me is something that obviously, you know, there hasn't been something for. Because they obviously don't want to discuss that, because especially with a system like this, what ends up happening is people will just wait for the later system if they if people tell them exactly what, you know, is going to happen. But for me, this battle pass is a pretty big disappointment in general. I don't think it's really that great. I don't see it as a fantastic one, and it's definitely the weakest that we've had. 2 copy paste vehicles with very, very similar mechanics to others. I just don't see as good. Like, I don't know how else to put it. It's not something that I look at and go, yep, this is what I want out of a battle pass. Maybe if I had a unique vehicle in it, but it doesn't. So, like, that's the thing. Then we have Kurt Source. I haven't even logged in the past 5 days. They completely broke the anti-aliasing, so it hurts my eyes. Yeah, I've been struggling with that too. I've been trying to find the anti-aliasing that works for me, and I did. So I screwed around with the settings, and it all works now. I'm having a slight issue with DirectX 12 where it hangs my graphics driver when going from when going from the ground, well, going from a mission to the hangar. So I've had to move it back to DirectX 11. But yeah, I fixed all my graphical stuff, and also Gadget have put out a bunch of changelogs, which fixed it too. So if you haven't played in a while, it might be worth giving it a go again, because it should be fixed now, which is good. Anti-Griefer, nice to see you. Hopefully you're doing good. You've been TK'd 3 times already this week, just because I was about to take bases someone else was headed towards. Oh, fair. I haven't been touched in the last 2 days. Pretty good. Not too bad. But yeah, a lot of the graphical issues they seem to have fixed, so I would at least give it a go again. Hey, Aviation, nice to see you. Hopefully you're doing good. Alright, so then we have Jake the Tank Master. How's things, Tekka? Overall, pretty good. Like, I've just been enjoying a lot of Stalker 2, and, you know, getting a bunch of the new vehicles researched. In general, it's been quite nice to play some War Thunder, and also to get some of the other stuff done. We're in a period which, you know, obviously we're near the next update, and everything's going to start going crazy again. So this is kind of the time where I get to kind of reflect and relax. The thing is, for me, I have to start thinking about, like, what is going to happen over, like, the next year or so, and plans to kind of, like, push forward with. Thank you for the raid, Arilagi. That's very kind of you. Hopefully you had a good stream. Hopefully everything went well. We're just doing the tech talk right now, so the good old weekly podcast. But hopefully you had a good stream, man. Hopefully everything went well. It's all good, Naruto. You don't have to apologize. But yeah, so it's just kind of figuring out what I want to do over the next year, and what things I want to kind of set up. It should be good. We'll see how it goes. Overall, I'm feeling pretty positive over the next year. We're gonna fully commit to certain ideas. This year was really fun. Just like last year, I had a really good time overall. And next year, we're gonna change it up slightly, but not in a negative. It's gonna be very good. Yeah. Oh, I'm sure you will, Arilagi. You'll get it eventually. It's something that happens with time, right? So don't worry about it. Hey, Tiger Hunter, nice to see you. I'd like to ask if getting the coupon is better than the Vulture. Well, if you're gonna grind the coupon, then you have some time to deliberate, right? The vehicle itself is a lot better than it was going to be. It's going to be pretty useless in ground, because it doesn't have access to any way of defending itself, and it's not maneuverable enough to get away from the missiles of that BR. But in air, it's actually looking pretty good. So I would actually say doing the air stuff for it, like, you know, for R3Ss at 9.0 is in a vehicle that, you know, is pretty maneuverable. Shouldn't be too bad. Like, generally, I'd say that's pretty good. How do I get rid of that sound effect? I don't know how that even started. It's gonna be 9.0 in air, and then it's gonna be 9.0 in air, and then it's gonna be yeah, 5 burns really cold. Really annoying. And then it's gonna be 9.3 in ground. I'm amazed that missed. But yeah, so basically, it should be in a lot better position. But you have, like, the whole time to work out what you want to do with it, right? So, can it destroy a base? Probably, but that's not why you want to use it. Like, you want to use it in a very different way. You wanna use it as a ground attacker. Hey Terminator, nice to see you. I'm doing well, thank you. Tea or coffee? Tea, definitely. Tea is the way to go. Like, tea is a lot better, in terms of... Tea is a lot better in terms of taste, and generally just, you know, is just nicer to have. Coffee is a lot more bitter and it needs a lot more stuff added to it. Whereas with tea, you can pretty much just drink it by itself and it's fine. I find it a lot more refreshing, especially since there's so many types of it. And therefore you have something for like every area. And also it's something that I grew up with, so pretty something that's ingrained into the brain. I have Mavericks. Oh, weird. Personally, I'm a fan of both, but I can go for tea anytime, whereas I just need to be in a certain mood for coffee. Also, with tea, herbal iced tea or proper English, like, definitely proper English. Just tastes nicer, you know. It's one of those things that tastes a lot better. That's definitely the one to go for. But yeah, in general, it's one of those things where it's like, okay, it's what I prefer, but also it's just more refreshing. Coffee is for energy, short-term burst energy. Tea is just more relaxing and nice, you know. I know both have like caffeine in it or energy stuff, but that's how it feels. I transfer my Xbox account to a Gaijin account? Yes, but only at certain times. If you follow the forums, they'll let you know. And there's certain stipulations, but you can do it. You're very close to getting the Kafirsi 7? Nice. I want to play that thing. Hey, Sharon, nice to see you. Thank you for the subscription, Daddle. Thank you for continuing to support the channel. It's very much appreciated. Thank you very much, man. Merci beaucoup. You take black coffee over tea? It's just too hard on my stomach like that. I wish I could do it, but it just screws my stomach up. There was an interesting video I saw from this lady who was talking about lactose intolerance, and she read a paper from the 90s about how lactose intolerance can be overcome if you just straight up chuck in a ton of lactose. Like, your body basically starts producing lactase if you do it. And I wonder how many other things work like that. Because there are certain foods for me that if I end up having, like, it just kills my stomach. Like, if I eat stuff like McDonald's, like I haven't had McDonald's in years apart from one time last year where we went there because a family member really likes it and we were like bringing some to them, right? And it nuked me. I don't know how else to put it. It really hurt my stomach. And my gut biome just must be absolutely different now, compared to what it is. There we go. What about like February? As I said, it's not in my control. Usually it happens in January, but yeah, I don't know. There's no way of knowing. But no, I'll always take tea over coffee just because it's not as aggressive. Like in terms of drinks and stuff like that, I generally prefer stuff which is a little bit less aggressive. The missus prefers coffee though. She's a big coffee head. Hey, Eve, nice to see you. Good morning. Yeah, we're doing TED Talk, and then also we're just grinding out the event with the SU-22. So far, so good. I'm just trying to get ourselves in position to win this. You're finishing your PC in January? Nice. What are you going for? I'm very happy I found a company that like doesn't charge anything for building PCs now. So much better. I built several PCs now, and I don't know, it's always something I worry about screwing something up. So we have Manuel. Hi, Tech. Hello. I've almost all vehicles in the US tech trees and the German ones up to rank 6. I got 10 crews for US and 8 for Germany. Now I'm using the nation bonus to grind the other nations. Considering that I play Ground AB and Naval AB, how many crew slots do you recommend for each nation? Well, Naval AB, you only have 3 spawns, right? Like, no matter what, that's what's going to happen. You have 3 naval spawns. So the question you have to ask yourself is how many air spawns do you need for something like that? Now, for me, I would say 2 is usually good enough. 3 is something that might be a bit too far, but it's worth considering. So at max in naval, you're gonna go for what? Like, at max in naval, you're gonna get 6, right? So that's gonna be a max. In ground, sorry, I would probably say the same thing. Just because 4 ground vehicles, I mean, most BRs, you're not gonna have more than 4 vehicles you need. 5 at a pinch. So then you got the light tank, 2 mediums, SPAA, and then maybe tank destroyer or heavy, depending on the nation. So for me, when I like look at stuff like that, I think maybe 4 ground vehicles, maybe 5, and then 2 or 3 CAS elements, depending on how high you go. So at max, you're looking at what, like 7 or 8 overall? Like, for me, I think that's a pretty good number. For me, I run 5, but that's just because of how much I rotate, and also the whole, like, you know, standard player experience thing that we've talked about. But I think 7 or 8 is probably the most efficient. What I would do, though, is I would wait until you get, up to helicopters to purchase the crews. Because I don't feel like that's needed as much, right? So yeah. 7 for 5 ground, 2 air. That should be good. That's what I'll go for. Let's see. I'm planning to grind the event using US Air. What planes would you recommend? To be honest, all of the jets for America are pretty good. Like, they all have their good experiences. They all generally feel pretty good. So I would just grind through the jet tech tree. You know, F80, both of them now, or the P80 as I know it. You know, the F3D is in a really good spot. The F104A is in a really good spot. Like, there's not really jets which are in bad spots apart from some of the sabers. Like, everything else is good. So I wouldn't worry about it too much. I'd just play the jets if you can. Okay, let's get this thing down. Ever thought of getting a PC sponsorship? Not really. I mean, obviously, stuff like that would always be nice. But I've only been offered one once, and I didn't want to take it. Because the other thing is, like, first of all, I don't know. I'm not part of that world. Does that make sense? I'm not really part of the whole, like, sponsorship world. I don't have, like, a manager. I don't have, like, a, you know, a talent manager thing or whatever. I've been offered it many times, but I have never taken it because they always want a percentage of total revenue of the thing instead of percentages of what they bring in. And they also want full control of your channels and analytics of those channels. So for me, as a person who just wants to kind of do this as a side gig and also have complete control over it, it never felt good for that. The amount that they offered never felt worth it, and it reminded me of stuff like I can't remember what it's called back in the day. So it was always just kind of weird to go through. And also at the same time, I kind of like being able to pick what I want to put in things, you know. But I don't know. I haven't chatted to anybody for a long time about these things. because I basically rejected a lot of them 2 or 3 years ago. And nowadays, luckily, they don't they don't bother me, which is quite nice. God. Hey, General Kenobi. How come the Battle Pass is 150 points cheaper on the Assistance app? I don't know. I have no idea. You mean like to buy? Or what? I don't know what that means. Only person making money is the so-called talent agent? Yeah, the interesting thing, so the biggest Canadian one and the biggest American one surprisingly hit me up. And I even had some interviews and discussions with them, which was kind of fun. And a few others hit me up too. And I had some very basic questions, which were like, do you have any numbers about how much percentages the average person goes up compared to the cut that you take? And also, what brands do you work with in terms of these things? And, you know, how do these systems work? And every time I asked a question which was to do with that, whether it was economically bound or other bound, every time I would just get told, I need to talk to somebody else. I'll set up a meeting for you to have with them. And I was like, okay. So then I'd do that meeting, which would be like in a week or so. Talk to that person, and then they'd just tell me the same thing. Or they would give me emails of partners that they had, and then ask them. So then I would ask them, like, what goes on with this, but they never replied. So yeah, it was just kind of a waste of time. If there is a partnership out there or a deal out there where the way that it is set up is you take percentages of not the total, but you take a large percentage, right? A large percentage of what you bring in and a very small percentage of other sponsorship stuff, I would be completely fine with that. But that's not how any of this stuff is set up. At least from the people that I've talked to in these industries. So for me, it never appealed to me because of that fact. I prefer just doing stuff by myself. And that's why I don't really do sponsorship stuff. You know, I don't really feel like selling my soul for products. So instead, what I generally do is, you know, if somebody hits me up about a game and is like, hey, do you want to play this? Then I can be like, yes or no. That's kind of how I do it. Now, if there's a good opportunity in the future, then of course we're going to give it a go. But right now, there isn't one. Right now, I'm pretty happy with doing the way that I do things. I'm pretty happy with it. Then we have Thunderspring. Oh my fucking god. Hi, you see, hope you're doing well. I've been exclusively playing Naval for the last week, spending the last French coastal and blue water vessels, and I've come up with some thoughts about Naval. I made a list. Here we go. Double the amount of tickets needed to win Naval matches. Triple the time for the match timer. The ability to opt out of Naval matches if there are bots. You can opt in or opt out of Crown Night battles. Being able to opt out of a system with bots in Naval should be an option. This would also make it easier to spot cheaters and report them. If reporting means anything, loaded topic. Of course it does. We've seen that recently. Change bots so they don't cap points unless tickets and or timer drops below a percentage. Limit the amount of bots present by percentage of actual players. There is no point to have, say, 9 bots on a team, but only 3 real players. I mean, what's the point of that? The reason that's happening is because there's not enough people in the matchmaker. Right? So, if you remove the bots, you won't find a match. The bots are not there because Gaijin wants them there. The bots are there to facilitate matchmaking because there isn't enough people to facilitate the matchmaking. The same thing would happen in aviation and happen in ground if there wasn't enough people too. It used to happen in aerialistic a lot, way back in the day. You used to have biplanes that would come in when you were playing jets, like Tetsuo. And Tetsuo would be flying something like the Key 10, but he could go Mach 1. And he had unlimited ammo. And he would chase you all around the map. and you had to get back to your airfield to try and escape him, but you couldn't, and he would probably kill you before you get back. So, and that's because there wasn't enough people playing those areas. So what you could do is you could have that battle, right? But there would only be a 3 versus 3. So then whoever has picked a coastal ship that's fast will just cap all the zones. And then there won't be a battle. Or somebody will get knocked out super quickly, or they'll leave quickly. So it's 3 versus 2 on a large map, which you also want that to triple the time of. So what is that? 75 minutes for some of them? And also increase the tickets. Yeah, Death by Tetsuo used to be a meme. Like, it was crazy back in the day. So yeah, the bots are there to facilitate the matchmaking. Limit the overall distance bots can attack. They already do. Reduce the overall accuracy of bots beyond a certain distance. They're already very, very bad. Change the max BR of bots to be 1 or 2 BR brackets below the highest BR vessel on either team. Add aircraft bots that spawn in and fly around attacking surface vessels. Like how aircraft bots work for Assault, Ground Arcade. They should go after battleships first. Wait, why? So you want to remove the naval bots, but you want to add in aircraft bots. Add the ability to have the option to retrieve launched float planes or refuel and rearm them. If you land a float plane on the water and shut off its engine of a green, should appear. Simply move your vessel to within the ring, and you will have the option to either refuel or rearm and retrieve. Yeah, that's fair. That would be cool. I'll be down for that. Add the ability to restrict the maximum distance secondary armaments and AA guns can fire at surface targets. They really can't hit anything over like 2 miles, and they just give your position away. Yeah, fair. I mean, what you can do is you can already do it in the game if you really want to. You could actually basically select a target which is out of their reach, and then what they'll do is they just won't fire at it, and therefore they won't attack other targets as well. So you could do that if you really wanted to. It's a little bit obnoxious to do, but I get I get your point. Like, you could do that. Remove the spotting square from a sighted enemy vessel if they're not in direct line of sight. So spotting time reduction, spotted vessels are spotted. Bonk. Are spotted for far too long and the sensitivity is too high. It is a little bit weird when a vehicle gets spotted and then they like go behind a hill and then you can continue to keep them spotted. I do agree. They should definitely think about changing that. Add subs. Subs would be good for my protect the carrier ship, protect the carrier mode idea, as sub-hunters and sub-hunting aircraft would be put to actual use for what they're intended for. Sure, why not? I mean, that would be fine. Like, generally, stuff like that is, I mean, I'd be fine if they added a bunch of subs. Like, they can do that. What? Oh. I didn't even see that one. Yeah, fine. Add the subs. But yeah, when it comes to the bot stuff, I get the annoyance with bots. I really do. But you have to understand that they're there to facilitate the matchmaking. If the matchmaking no longer exists, or the bots no longer exist, you won't get into the matches. We need more playtests for game design and game mode ideas, possibly playtests for BR change sweeps as well. I disagree with that. There isn't enough people who care about that. I know, right? I'm just being honest. The amount of people who would actually test these things is incredibly small. And the reason I know that is because we already have a dev server that is now open for more than a week at a time that a lot of people don't test stuff on. And they just oogle at the new vehicles. So the amount of people who would actually sit down and do testing is very small. What would be better is to pay people to do this. which they already do. Maybe they could pay more people. Who knows? When it comes to the game design and game mode ideas, I'm always a fan of community-made content, so I hope at some point people can step up and make these things, and therefore create some really cool stuff, especially for now. Because why not? Is it just me, or did they add that if you get hit by a smoke, bombs on a tank, they activate? Yeah, they did that. It's kind of cool. They did it a while ago, actually. Why do I need to do 35k points 7 times instead of 6? I don't know. Good practice. But yeah, sure. I mean, all of these are fair. The only thing, as I said, which is a problem, is the bot thing. The bot thing is very, very different. Then we have C76 Caravan. Regarding the first topic, releasing an update / game buggy. I mean, as you reported with your Stalker 2 experience, it can ruin the perception massively. Yeah, it can. Like the best example for me is Alien Isolation, right? And I think I may have put those videos up on the second channel. I don't know if I did or not, but Alien Isolation completely screwed up for me in the first 2 hours. I ran into a game-breaking bug that I had to restart the whole game to fix, where one of my AI companions would go, hey, we need to be stealthy in this area, and yeah, we need to not be detected. And then the first thing he would do is run through a door and get himself shot in the head. And no matter where I restarted the game from, the same thing happened over and over. That was in the first hour of the experience. In the second hour of the experience, the great pathing that I was told about by the AI was the human AI was horrifically bad. And once again, didn't make any sense logically. And I ran into another bug because of that too. So that completely killed that game for me. I haven't gone back. It's been 2 years. I may at some point go back, but not anytime soon. Maybe in 5 years. Because it's just left such a bad taste in my mouth. You know, and it's just as simple as that. And it just kind of gets me annoyed that that's there. Look also to the botch launch of MSFS 2024. That's Flight Simulator, right? So many people have been up in arms because of the server issues and the bugs present. While I've been expecting some, I'm a bit annoyed at people bitching about it being buggy. At the same time, there is of course a different limit to each individual, and it definitely could have waited a bit more. I agree with that. The Microsoft Flight Sim one is interesting. Because number one, they made a really successful one, right? The one before. This reminds me of like City Skylines, right? And they kept like adding DLCs, they kept adding content to it, and everybody really enjoyed it. And now they've done a new one, and it's busted up. There's been a lot of these recently. So, well, maybe not a lot, but a lot I can think of. So, first of all, you have Microsoft Flight Sim. Some of the farming simulators have the same issue. And then also, you have Payday 3, which is another one, right? And then as Dog said, right? Black Ops 6 corrupted my save file after crashing midway through the campaign. That's the worst one in a while. That one is just, like, unforgivable. That one is just like, okay, I don't ever want to touch this again. You know. But yeah, so there's all these types of games that are releasing sequels that are just no better than the one before it, or have issues, and what's ended up happening is people aren't touching them. Or not as many people. And then in like 5 to 10 years time, people will go, well, this edition was the greatest. Probably not with Payday though, because Payday seems to really just be dying. But it also reminds me of an interview that Anton Yudinsev did, like years ago, where he was talking about, somebody asked him a question, a journalist asked him a ludicrous question, which was, like, it was along the lines of, when do you plan on releasing War Thunder 2? And Anton just said, why would we do that? Like, why would we not build upon what we already have? Why would we split the player base? The only reason to do that is if you go in a fundamental different direction and try something completely different, and that's never going to work for this genre. And now that we have examples of companies doing that, it shouldn't really be a surprise. Hey Titan, nice to see you. I'm doing well today, thank you. Overall, not too bad. We're just doing the tech talk. Finally, more and more people are fed up by game publishers pushing unfinished products out. Though I can also understand their pressure to get a game out at some point, start recouping their upfront development cost. The problem I have with this, and I do agree that it's like one of those impossible situations. But when you realize that gaming as a medium is larger than movies, and is the largest entertainment business on the earth, and how some people get paid insane amounts of money to make schlop nowadays, and now there's so much competition in terms of actually creating it, I think in general, I don't like putting that qualifier there anymore. I actually disagree with the qualifier, if that makes sense. For me personally, when I look at this stuff now, the way that I see it is actually, okay, you've just made an unfinished product. Like, and just like a movie or just like a TV show, if you do or make an unfinished product, then I'm never going to touch it again. I'm very much like that nowadays when it comes to games. There are a very small amount of what's the word? There are a very small amount of exceptions to this. Stalker is one of them because of the fact that somebody did put their money down for me to play it. So therefore I am going to complete it no matter what, because I want to honor stuff like that. I don't want to be an asshole. But at the same time, there are other things where if I spend the money that I earn on these things and none of it works, like, that is one of the most annoying things that can happen, like, to anybody. Because there's no other industry where that's allowed. There's no other space where if you buy a product and it doesn't work, that you're allowed to just be like, okay, well, they'll fix it one day. You know. But for some reason in gaming, that's just the standard. These things, and it just kind of annoys me. But no, I don't have any sympathy nowadays for that side of things. I used to, but now it's so much easier to self-develop and also self-publish. And also, a lot of it can just be passion projects, and as long as you find like a niche group of people around you to do it, I generally don't think that it's a consideration for me. We have seen quite a lot of weird flops recently, though. The Payday 3 one is the most least surprising for me. Because they should have just never made. Like that was something where they should have just straight up updated the second game. Because when you've added so much content to one game, that's why I'm kind of worried about Killing Floor. Because with Killing Floor, the way that it works is it gets released and then they add content to it over time. Killing Floor 2, they added an insane amount of content. So I can just see what's gonna happen. Like, nobody's gonna buy into it. They're gonna watch like a YouTuber's video on it when it comes out, and the YouTuber will just say, look, this game is unfinished, it has nothing in it, just stay and play Killing Floor 2. Then people are just gonna stay and play Killing Floor 2. It's gonna have to be monumental to keep people around, and that's just not how that genre works. I think this is because we know as the AAA at one point, we're basically those indie devs in terms of a passionate team. Oh, compared to AAA stuff? I mean, sometimes. A lot of AAA games are pretty cool, though. Think about Elden Ring. You think Path of Exile will be the same way? Well, I think people are more okay with Path of Exile because of the fact it's going to be a free-to-play. They are trying to milk it pretty hard, though, dog. Have you seen that stuff? But when Path of Exile launched, it actually had like a full campaign in, right? And then it had a lot of features that were pretty cool. With Path of Exile 2, those devs, I think, are going to do the same thing. But once again, it's also a free-to-play, so it's allowed that kind of openness. The thing about all the games that I mentioned, they're paid upfront games, and then they add on DLC that you have to pay for as well. Whereas with free-to-play games, it's different. And I know Path of Exile 2 is doing a lot of like, hey, purchase this bundle and you'll get access to all these things. But at the end of the day, it's going to be free for people to try. So people don't have to worry about reviews in order to like look at it. Instead, they can just give it a go themselves. And that huge barrier to entry change is going to be massive. Especially with games just getting insanely expensive now. At least in my area. Then we have Wipe ZZU. I have ray tracing maxed out, having 100 to 140 FPS with few drops, 2K resolution. I have a 4090, barely running fine. Yeah, the ray tracing has a long way to go. I think it's fair to go. Yeah, PoE 2 will be free after early access. Yeah, exactly. You know, it's and you can pay to beta test the game, which is another one of those things which is just insane to me. Like how you basically pay to fix the game. Such a weird thought. But War Thunder has been doing the same thing as well for like many years, and I just find it so weird. But yeah, it'd be how it is. The need to be first on things too much. Sony bought the company that owns Bloodborne. You feel sad for now? I mean, isn't Bloodborne only on PlayStation anyway? It's not really going to make a difference. An invisible missile. Crazy. That guy launched a missile way earlier than that, by the way. Did you see? Oh, fuck. I hit the wrong button. Yeah, I think it's different for free-to-play games. Why is my thing not working? There we go. That guy fired all of his missiles at me. So, I would say that's a win for this thing. Getting rid of J8's whole missile arsenal. Basically means he doesn't use it on anything else. Sorry, I just have to concentrate on flying for a little bit. Did that guy just like you? Used all of his missiles and all of his guns and couldn't hit shit. How sad. Happens to the best of us. Alright. I'm a wallet warrior. Today I arrived at Battle Pass 75. I think I could probably get to 75 if I wanted. I think I'm pretty close to it. Is the M18 on sale worth it? The Black Cat? Yeah. Black Cat's super fun. Its loadout isn't as good as it used to be, but it's still good. Bonk. Yeah. But did you know Sony is planning on buying From Software? I did. But yeah. We'll see what goes on. Sony's just trying to do what Microsoft does, and I'm kind of bored of it. Really, really bored of monopolistic practices. That's not how things grow, that's how they shrink. Kind of dull. What's this plane called? Su-22M3. It's the squadron vehicle for the Soviets. No, the black car is the same as the one in the tech tree. Just doesn't have a muzzle brake and doesn't have side skirts. Basically the same. But yeah, the ray tracing stuff has been kind of weird so far. I've tried it on low with a 4070 Ti Super, and yeah, it's just not really working very well. So for me, it's one of those things I'm not really gonna bother about until they like try and fix it. We'll see how it goes. Luckily, it's the game itself, I think, looks fine. I don't need it to look better at the moment. Pretty happy with how War Thunder looks, you know? Like, I'm running out on 2K, everything maxed, with, is it like TSR or whatever it's called? Oh, DLSS turned itself on. That's kind of weird. But I was running TSR, but yeah. Let's just do that real quick. I don't know why it turned itself off. Oop, there you go. And then I was running DX12, which was quite nice, but I'm not doing that anymore. Just because it was making my driver hang. So that was fun. Oh my god. Okay. Getting some weird frame stutters. Did you buy Alex Jones's game? No, I didn't. I'm not gonna I'm not gonna buy his game. So over this sale, I did purchase a few games because they were crazy cheap, and also ones for the future. So I picked up Dark Sector is free right now on Steam, so literally just go to the page and click it, so it's part of your library. Looks like a fun one. I picked up Orcs Must Die 1, since we're going to be playing the 4th one in January or February. Also, I picked up Mad Max, since it was like $2 and looks like a pretty fun game. And then Need for Speed Payback, which is something I'm going to be playing off-stream while I'm working out. And then Zombie Army 4. If you remember, we played through Zombie Army Trilogy with the boys. I'm going to be playing through 4 as well, so it should be good. So they didn't add the frame generation. Hopefully at some point they will. Alright, so then we have Jerry. Dear Sensei Tech, I hope this message finds you well. I'm reaching out with a sincere and deep respect for your expertise regarding War Thunder. That always sounds like a worry. I have a great idea. If we nominate War Thunder for the Steam Awards, we should get free GE. Giving out bribes is a 100% fair way of winning awards. Also, Gajin should give us voice chat for our teammates. It's already in the game for squads, so I don't see why they can't add it for teams. I think, honestly, they haven't added it for teams, because, well, my frame rate is getting absolutely annihilated. What the hell? What the hell has happened? What has it turned on now? It flipped itself to this. Is this only for... How did it even do that? I thought I had to restart the game. Is that what busted it? Yeah, I'm gonna have to restart the game. Yeah, I think bribes are not a great idea, gonna be honest, when it comes to award shows. I'm not a huge fan. I'm not a huge fan of bribery. I feel like if they do win it, they probably would do something special for the game anyway, which would be quite fun. Like, in general, I think War Thunder is one of those games that's always forgotten about in terms of awards and stuff like that. But that's generally because these things are more bought and paid for, and also for specific demographics, which should be incredibly evident over the last few years. I still can't believe that Cat game won the amount that it did. What a terrible game that was. And now we have a bunch of copycat games where it's like, hey, play this random animal in this random but yeah, it's nuts in terms of how a lot of this stuff is set up. But yeah, for me in general, I feel like it would be cool to see War Thunder win stuff. I just don't think that it would be worth it. Yeah, Stray. I can't, like, there was so many good games that year, and Stray won a bunch of awards. It just shouldn't have, because it was, hey, cute cat game. And that is an unfortunate problem with this general industry. The other thing to also mention is the Game Awards are coming up soon, aren't they? I feel, right, we're not even in December yet, but everybody's already doing their, like, end of year stuff. Did I, like, miss something? Because we're a month out. So, like, what is happening? No? Like, why is everybody doing their, like, wrap-ups of the year? Are we just not including December anymore? Yeah, so Stray got nominated at the BAFTA Awards for EE Game of the Year, Technical Achievement, Best Animation, Audio Achievement, Best Game, Best Debut Game, Best Music, Best Narrative, and Best Original Property. At the Game Awards, it was nominated for Game of the Year, Best Game Direction, Best Art Direction, Best Action Adventure Game, Best Debut Indie, Best Indie, and also Player's Voice. And it won Best Debut Title and Best Indie. It also got the PlayStation Game of the Year, because you could play as a cat. Fantastic. So good. Hey, Sayas, nice to see you. Hopefully you're doing good. Do I know whether Typhoon will be placed in the British tree? No, I don't. I don't even know if it'll go to the British tree. We'll see. There's not even a Black Friday anymore. It's more like a whole month of sales. Yeah, it's over here. It's Black Friday week. So it's a perfect time to basically do Christmas shopping. Hey, Bearded the Cat, nice to see you. You have 100 hours on Stray? How? How do you have 100 hours on Stray? Stray didn't win everything. It won a bunch of awards, and it got nominated basically for everything, because it's a game where you play as a cat. You should have seen the indie game that won last year. It was a game that literally nobody played. Like, it had like 50 people playing it. Right. But yeah, it would be cool to see War Thunder win stuff. But as we said before, it's not... So first of all, it's a war game. War games don't ever win anything. Like, Call of Duty doesn't even win anything. And it has like the marketing budget of the moon. And then also, it's not a Western company. And it's not Japanese. So you don't even get the weeb vote. But Stray was actually a good game. It had good art style, good story. The copy animal games that people created after Stray are pretty bad. You can say Stray's a good game. I'm sure it is a great game. It's just not worth the accolades that it was given. Because the reason why it was given those accolades is because you play as a cat. You can have a look at 2022 and have a look at other games that got snubbed because of Stray. Because of the fact it was cat game where you play as cat. Like, Stray itself, how long was it? It was like 4 or 6 hours, right? It was an incredibly short game. Oh dear. Oh, can we make it? We can. Stray was 5 hours long. If you want to 100% complete Stray, it was 10 hours long. 5 hours. That's how long Stray was. So 2 movies. Best art style you've ever seen, great graphics? No. No, I don't think so. You can win an award for best platform for spies, maybe? Do you think, so in 2022, do you think it should have been best game of the year for PlayStation? Let's see what games came out in 2022. Okay. Elden Ring came out in 2022. Elden Ring. You had Dying Light 2, Horizon Forbidden West. Total War Warhammer 3 came out in 2022. And it came out at the start of 2022, if I remember. So by the end of 2022, it was in a fantastic position. The Stanley Parable came out in 2022, even though it was definitely out before then. You had Evil Dead that came out, Lego Star Wars, Gran Turismo 7, fucking Ghostwire Tokyo. God of War Ragnarok came out that year, you know? But yeah, Stray's definitely better than all of them. Don't think it was right this year. They're counting DLCs for Game of the Year. Yeah, Elden Ring. Yeah, well, I think it's probably because they wanted to nominate Elden Ring, right? But yeah, it's silly that they're counting DLCs as games. But once again, it's the whole like love of Asian culture thing we've talked about. Why can I not? My manual thing isn't working right now. Plague Tale Requiem? Awards for Strays, clearly for symbolism then? Don't know much about those games, but my ignorant idea is this apparently. No, it's not about it's not a it's not about ignorance or anything like that. It's just straight up the fact is you sometimes have these things which are cultural phenomenons, right? And cultural phenomenons are one of those things that are tied to like specific times. And because of zeitgeists, which is like the thing of that time, reviewers or like people who pick these rewards, they're very cognizant of that fact. Then they pick the things that are like that. Which is why you get a very weird setup in terms of like certain awards on certain years. Which is why like when it comes to like the Oscars, and like last year with like Barbie and Oppenheimer and all that stuff, Barbie was incredibly average as a movie. But its appeal is fantastic because it's this huge appeal because it's something that people grew up with. It's empowering. It's, you know, great for everybody. It doesn't offend anybody, right? But it's a very average movie, which is why it didn't win a lot of Oscars, but they had to give it something. So they gave it, what was it, the music, which is hilarious because they literally gave the only Oscar on a female-dominated movie to a man, which is kind of funny. But the whole reason why people got pissy is because of how popular it is. But popular doesn't mean good, right? And that is the issue. People got completely captured by that idea and are completely captured by it when it comes to games. And that's all that happens. Popular equals good. And then you have to work out from there, is something popular enough that you can criticize it and that it's okay to criticize because it is popular and there's going to be enough people who are... Oh my god. I hit the button and it didn't stop firing my countermeasures. God damn. I do wonder how scuffed the award's going to be this time. I don't think they're going to be scuffed. As long as they don't let that guy from God of War talk too much, like, we'll be fine. That dude was incredibly annoying. Like, the perfect example of ego was that guy. where he got pissed off because he wasn't allowed to sit there for 20 minutes and just ramble on about random shit. Just be happy you got an award, now go away. Like, goddamn. Yeah, very sad. Then we have Oz. Anyone got timestamps? Yeah, there's some timestamps. People can see them. I also think that it's pretty stupid that DLC is nominated, but also as a counterpoint, the DLC is huge and bigger than most games these days. But yeah, no, I don't think it deserves nomination for that. Well, they could have easily just created a best DLC / expansion award, right? It's like giving the labor of love to Cyberpunk. Cyberpunk got an award because it came out and it was awful. And in a few years, it is now not awful. They basically got an award for doing their job because they wanted so desperately to give that thing an award. And they couldn't in the first year because it would have killed somebody. Like, it's... Yeah, just make... it. Is it so hard to make another, like, nominee thing? Like, another award for best DLC or best expansion? The Elden Ring DLC is literally a standalone game. It's by far the best game / DLC of the year. Can I play the Elden Ring DLC without owning Elden Ring? Why did Cyberpunk have so much hype? Because the guys who created it were the guys behind Witcher. And the Witcher series has been fantastic. Isn't there a best live service game award? There's a best labor of love. It's like continuing game. So technically not live service, but yeah. But that's not the same as a DLC, right? But yeah, the Elden Ring DLC, I mean, no you can't, but it's better than the majority of games that came out this year. Okay, so it's a DLC. If it isn't, you can't say it's a standalone game when you have to purchase something else to play it, right? Thank you for the raid, Bullfrog. That's very kind of you. Merci beaucoup. 10k into the second mission. What about you? Probably about the same. Yeah, look at GTA 5 Online when GTA 5 came out. I don't know, you don't see any of the product come out broke? Not as broken as that. I think that would fit War Thunder better. Yeah, like it, but War Thunder never gets... You know which games they nominate every year for this? It's like Apex Legends. And like stuff like that. Like, let's see. Game of the... Game Awards 2024 nominee. Right? Here are the ones... Oh, I don't want a Polygon article, thank you. Right, Game of Year, Content Creator, Mobile Game Studio. They call it ongoing game, right? Ongoing game. Okay. So these are the nominees. You have Fortnite, which I don't really class as a game. I know that sounds weird, but it's kind of like Roblox, where it's a bunch of games built up on top of each other, which is kind of cool. But I would actually see that more as a platform nowadays. Diablo 4 is a nominee. Helldivers 2, which literally came out this year. So that's in the ongoing game category. It's not in like game of the year or anything like that. It's in ongoing game. It came out this year. And it's in the ongoing game category. And then you have Final Fantasy XIV, A Realm Reborn. And then Destiny 2. So yeah. That's your ones. For ongoing game. War Thunder has never been nominated for this, and it never will. Because even though it's larger than all of those games, which is crazy to think about, it will never get a nomination. Like, that's crazy. But yeah, that's just how it goes. But it did lose a lot of popularity. What did? Well, yeah, Helldivers got screwed over by a few things. Like I know people blame the Sony stuff, but there is also a few other things to the actual setup. But yeah, like how many legs does a game like that actually have is obviously one of them. But yeah, it's one of those. I feel like I was watching a podcast more recently, and they were talking about the idea of ongoing games and how you're allowed like 1 or 2 games a year that are ongoing games, which are allowed to flourish. And if those games come out and people really like them, then there's no point in even releasing your game that year, which I find kind of funny. And this year we had Power World and Helldivers, but Helldivers literally shot the bed. So who knows? Bum bum bum. Weird time to be alive. So then we have the last comment from Aldo Caruli. Hey Tech, it's been a minute from the last time I asked a question on the Tech Talks, but I didn't have anything of value to add to the conversation until now that we have the Fly the Vulture event. Everywhere I see with, in my opinion, one of the most stupid takes you can have about the game. Don't grind it, just buy it if you value your time. Is that what people say? Oh, someone fired a missile at me. I haven't seen that much, but I also don't really exist in a lot of those types of circles. Let's see. Don't grind it, just buy it if you value your time. Why bother buying a vehicle from the market if you want to skip while playing the game? 35k is literally an hour and a half every 2 days. I mean, if the counter argument is that you don't even have that kind of time available in your hands, you shouldn't be considering buying a plane for a video game at all, because you won't play it. Wanted to hear your opinion. Yeah, I kind of feel the same way about it. Like, the air events are some of the easiest to grind. Like, we've just been doing this tech talk and chilling, not really putting any thought into this, and I have like 14k done, right? It's not as if we're playing like a really good vehicle or anything like that. It's just how it is. And there is a simple thought about this, which is the whole like time thing. So if the time versus money argument in free-to-play games is always going to exist, because you're going to have people who have no time and also no money, and those are the people who get screwed over in this type of system. So the argument of just buy the event because it wastes your time is not going to apply to that set of people. It's going to apply to the people who have money, so they're just going to buy it anyway. So their statement doesn't matter, like, at the end of the day. And if your statement is to aim at the guys who have the time to grind it, who also have the money to grind it, then they're just going to grind it, because they actually want to play the game. The part of the group that you need to target in terms of statements is the group that is struggling the most in terms of these systems. And that group is the people who don't have time and don't have money. And the first thing to think about in that setup, and this is something I've always been critiqued about, is if you're in that situation and you're playing free-to-play stuff, the best thing to do is to focus on your individual self and be able to get to a point where you either do have time or do have money. Because if you're not able to support yourself in this situation, you are going to really struggle in terms of the future when you have more liabilities and also you have more people around you that you have to look after. So that is the way that I've always seen these things. The other part of it which I think is also important, is you can go to like Fanatical or like Humble Bundle and you can pick up like a set of games that you can play, which are crazy cheap or even free, and just play those instead. And you'll get the constant progression that you want, and it will not cost you pretty much anything. So it's either you get to a point where you have the time or have the money, or you have to change expectations. And these are hard. These are hard ideas to go through. Because if you say that to somebody, they don't want to hear that. Because for them, they just want to be able to get the thing. But unfortunately, it's how all these things go. And it kind of sucks. Like, it's one of those things which makes me really sad that people are in that situation. And I just want to, you know, build them out of it. But it's... These types of conversations are always kind of fruitless. It's the same like value conversations too. That's too expensive. Okay. Fair enough. But then somebody buys it and then, you know, the person goes, how'd you buy it? It's too expensive. Well, it wasn't too expensive for them. Like, welcome to how these systems work, right? And, you know, it's one of those things that is like it's one of those things where value conversations are very hard to have with people. Because different people value stuff differently. And good luck having to do these conversations. And good luck trying to make them work. Because you will never be able to make them work. It's a tough one, it really is. It's something that you can't really do, you know? Doesn't really work very well. Okay. Bombs away. That's the end of the questions on the comments, though. Is there anything that anybody wants to go through? In terms of the, in terms of the setup? Is there anything that somebody wants to expand upon or do something else so we can get back to grinding? If not, that'll be the end of the tech talk. Not a hugely long one. We went on a few meandering topics, but generally when I'm playing, that's what happens, because I can't focus my game on things. Do fries belong in burritos? No. I've never been a fan of the whole fries in the sandwich kind of deal. The big thing from where I'm from was the chip butty, where it was basically buttered buns with chips in the middle, or fries in the middle. So it's one of those things which is not really fun at all. Will you play all the Final Fantasy games tomorrow? Probably not, Abby. Only so many hours in a day. Mayonnaise with fries? No, that's very Central European, and since Central Europe is one of those areas that keeps exploding over and over again, and, you know, there's constantly like aggression or annoyance or civil wars or independent strikes. I don't like trying to follow any of their food tips because it seems to cause just utter annihilation of. Like, it just seems kind of crazy. So yeah. Now tomorrow we'll just be doing War Thunder in the event. I might be playing some Stalker today. I think maybe we'll get some done, who knows. I want to first of all get this thing done though. This thing's a bucket of bricks. It's not a fun vehicle at all to play. It's kind of how it is. Hey Senpai, nice to see you. What conflict is caused by mayo? Mayo and fries, definitely. It's disgusting. It's like how when I first came to Canada, one of the things they did was they put ranch, which we just don't have back home. Ranch just isn't a thing. They used to put it on pizza. Just disgusting. Like, why are you doing that? I played Stalker 2, but I always have stutters. I have 16 gigabytes of RAM. Is it the RAM or it's my graphics? Either medium or low, I have a 3060. It'll be the graphics card. The game isn't well optimized right now. It'll get there, don't worry. They released a big patch today, so hopefully that helps people out. Alright, that's the end of the tech talk. Look after yourselves. Peace be with you. Hopefully the event goes well. BB.